All right, Wednesday night on the Krug Show. Hope everybody's having a great week. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome the man, the myth, the legend. Matt Barrows covers the 49ers for long time ago for the Sacramento Bee. I always have this urge to say the Sacramento Bee, but of course it's the Athletic that he works for and does an incredible job, as good as it gets. Covering the Niners is this guy right here, and everybody knows it, the great Matt Barrows, and he's with us on the Krug Show on Wednesday, May the 24th, a couple days after the Niners had their OTAs down in Santa Clara. Matty, good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you a couple of days ago at the OTAs. That was a kind of a fun way to start the off season, the first real practice of 2023. And we got to see most of the 49ers out there. Certainly all of the young guys who are out there kind of trying to prove themselves and trying to make the roster.
Yeah, no Bosa, no Trent, no Debo, no Hargrave, no Hafanga, no Ray, no Warner, no Greenlaw, no Mooney Ward, no Juwan Jennings. There was an Ayuk sighting, but there were a lot of key guys that weren't there. Do they decide that they don't want to be there because I know it's voluntary? Or do you think some of the coaches, like I was kind of wondering, somebody was asking me today about Debo, and I was just looking at the depth chart, Matty, and I was like thinking, you know what? There's so many receivers in the 49er camp. And what are you really going to find out about Debo other than what kind of shape is he in? And maybe if I was the receiver coach, I may want to say to Juwan Jennings and Debo and Ayuk, hey, and even Ray, hey, you know what, guys? We got a can full of young receivers here that we need to find out about. What do you guys think about maybe sitting out one of the voluntaries early on and giving us some, a chance to get the young guys some extra reps and a better look? Or do you think that's all the decisions to either participate or not are all made by the players themselves or their agents?
Yeah, I mean, I think the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan would love to have 100% attendance there, but you're right. I mean, and Shanahan was sort of alluding to that with the offensive linemen. There's not a lot of offensive lineman drills. In fact, you saw at the end of the practice, I mean, the defensive and offensive linemen were sort of sitting around at one point watching the 7-on-7 drills. So it's hard to convince Trent Williams to come in for these May OTAs when really there's not a lot of practicing that can be done. So I think especially for those, the veteran defensive linemen, Nick Bosa, the veteran offensive lineman, Trent Williams, it's not really that important. I would say though, I think that they would love to have Debo Samuel on hand just because weight has been a bit of an issue for him. He
Yeah.
plays. He's better when he has, a really good off season and is in super shape. That's what happened in that 2021 year when he was just all world with everything. He was motivated. He was going into his contract year and whatnot. So that's always, I think, a concern for them. But I agree. I mean, I think that you get more as a team from watching a Tay Martin, a Ronnie Bell out there than you do Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk at this point. I mean, when you start to ramp up into the mini camp next month, and then obviously the beginning of training camp, that's when you want your true horses out there. But right now, it's mostly for the young guys as they're installing the offense and the defense.
If I follow Matt Barrows on Twitter, I'd be at Matt Barrows, and it says on your Twitter, Matt, that's me, covers the 49ers for the Athletic, alum of the Sacramento Bee and Hilton Head Island Packet.
That's right. You don't get the Island Packet?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I
Yeah,
need more information. I need more info.
That's my first job out of college. You graduate from college with a journalism degree, and you got all this debt, and then you realize, oh crap, none of these newspapers are hiring. You don't walk on to the Washington Post.
Right.
You look high and low for employment, and the one newspaper they called. This is like I'm back living with my parents with
is this in Virginia somewhere?
$35,000 debt. Back then, this is the 1990s. That's a lot. at that point, and I'm applying to this paper and that paper, and nobody's even giving me a call back, and I'm starting to think, wow, I've made a huge career choice blunder here. But the Island Packet, which is on Hilton Head Island, it's right there on the Georgia border. It's beautiful. A lot of retirees. Is the one place that hired me over the phone. Didn't No interview,
Wow.
nothing. I just showed up one day and was writing a story by the end of the day. So yeah, it's gotten bigger because that's a big growth area. But I think it was something like 12,000 circulation when I was working there. I mean, tiny. And my opening salary was tiny.
um, my older brother is 5 years older, went to Cal. He worked for the Daily Cal.
Yeah,
And I remember at the time, he's like, yeah, I got a bunch of guys who work with. I'm like, who are some of the guys you work with? He's like, yeah, I work with this guy named Mike Silver. I'm working with a guy named Ron Kroichik, a couple other people. And it's amazing, how many. My brother eventually said, you know what, I'm getting out of the newspaper business. He had worked for the McClatchy News Service, the LA Times, the Bakersfield Californian.
sure.
And I think maybe even did some stuff with the Bee. He definitely worked for the Bee family, right? There was a
Yeah,
president.
McClatchy owns the Island Packet, which was my first paper. And so when I did a sort of an inter-family move, that's
Mhm.
that's how I got to Sacramento,
Ah,
because I was
okay.
in the McClatchy family. They were trying to hire from within, and yeah, I drove out to California in a Ford Ranger by myself. Had never been to California before.
That's
I rolled
wild.
into I stayed at like a Days Inn on Jaboom Street, which is like right on the river, and I got
Okay.
the full Sacramento experience. The no shirt, no job, no teeth, guys hanging out in the parking lot. So yeah, I got baptized real fast.
Did you ever think, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to go to law school. You're a bright guy. You could do a lot of things. Did you ever say, you know what? The newspaper industry, it's not for me. It's starting to erode. I mean, you've carved out a nice career, now found your way to the Athletic. The Athletic is obviously doing better than, let's say, the Chronicle or the Bee or many of the newspapers. Or I don't know if it is, but it definitely seems like it seems from afar like it is. But did you ever think, hey, I should go to grad school, I should go to law school, I should go do something and get out of the newspaper business? Were you ever tempted to?
No, I mean, I never was. I mean, I know lots of people who did for those very reasons. I mean, it's just not a great future there. And your the people that you went to school with, your cohorts are making, six times what you're
Right,
making.
right, right.
And they got, oh, we just bought a vacation house in the mountains, that sort of thing. And you're trying to make ends meet. But it was always so exciting to me. I mean, the when I got to the Bee in 1999, that newsroom was just teeming with reporters. And it was almost something out of a movie where, just a lot of the camaraderie was great, a lot of smart people. I don't
And
want to say
Ari,
that
don't forget Ari Grasswich.
Ari Grasswich, I mean, Sam Stanton, there were some big time heavy hitters there. And there's sort of like a gallows humor inside a newsroom. Everybody's very funny. Everything's quick. It's like, your radio banter, but it's like all day long. I mean, and you just kind of, it's a great culture. And that's, one of the awful things is that now, I literally I didn't have a seat when I got to the Sacramento Bee. I had to share a computer with somebody. It was on a swivel. I mean, and there were like three newsrooms, three floors that were just teeming with reporters. I mean, the paper was thick, you
Right,
know,
right.
multiple sections, et cetera, et cetera. Now you go in there and it's like tumbleweeds are going across
Yeah.
the newsroom. There's like six people and it's depressing. And it happened like that overnight almost. It went from boom days to nothing.
Oh, it's
So
amazing. It's
it's sad.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing really, the media landscape has been has turned over so fast and it's moving so fast that things that I thought would happen in 20, 30 years are happening in like a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, so it's who knows what the future is. But you have done an incredible job now with the Athletic covering the biggest team in Northern California, the San Francisco 49ers. And what I love about your reporting is you find a way in the midst of a myriad of others trying to hunt for new angles and new perspectives to advance the story. And let's talk a little bit about the way you advanced the Trey Lance story, because I thought your piece on Jeff Christensen was really, really profound. It was really interesting. You found and tracked down the quarterback coach, Jeff Christensen, who's worked with hundreds of quarterbacks through the years, and had spent time in Dallas this offseason working with Patrick Mahomes and Trey Lance, and advanced that story. And tell us a little bit about what you think Christensen did to help Lance, and did you see any of that improvement in this latest OTAs?
I think so. I mean, it's so hard, and I don't want to pretend to be one of these reporters who say, "Oh yeah, he was throwing much more quickly. I mean, it was more compact." That was the sense that I got, and I
Mhm.
think most people agree that the delivery was better. It was a little bit more compact. He was certainly accurate in the practice, although he didn't seem to be, you know, throwing too many ambitious throws. But I thought I saw improvement. And I thought that the biggest takeaway from Christensen was that he was saying that when he was down there for that month, they would have some pretty, ambitious days where Lance threw a lot. And the last thing that Christensen wanted to do was get this guy injured. So I think he said, 3 days of throwing, and then there would be a day off, and Lance would ice his arm. He'd ice his elbow. He was dealing with soreness, and Christensen thought that was problematic. That if he was throwing correctly, that he shouldn't have these soreness issues. And so I thought the biggest thing was that, according to Christensen, by the end of those sessions, Lance's arm was feeling a lot better, and it wasn't causing him the same amount of pain, i.e., he had found a stroke that was natural. He wasn't putting undue burden on that elbow anymore. And I think a lot of it stems from that finger injury he had in 2021, and that just had a real sort of domino effect on everything else that goes into a throwing motion. And the hope, and this was another point that Christensen was making, is that it's never finished. It's not like you go in and you fix a couple of wires, and all of a sudden the wiring in your house is correct. It's a constant battle. This is why Patrick Mahomes was down there as well. All of these guys, every one of them, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they work on their motion throughout the season, throughout the off season, and sometimes during the season, just to make sure that everything is going right. It's very easy to fall off track. An injury will do it. Bad games will do it. Pass rush will do it. Very, very easy to get knocked off of that nice throwing platform that you establish in the offseason.
Who found Christensen? Was it Lance, or was it Mahomes for Lance? Is it Lance's agent, the 49ers? Who put the two sides together?
I have no idea. I asked that question. It was a question that he declined to answer. So I don't know if it's sensitive or not. The 49ers like, for their quarterbacks to work with a specific group, that 3D QB group, the one in Orange County that includes John Beck and Adam Dedeaux, because the 49ers know that Beck knows the Shanahan offense, and he knows the types of throws that these guys are making. He knows the timing of it. He knows what he can see things through Shanahan's eyes. So it's basically an extension of the coaching staff. So I don't know if there's any tension because of that. I don't think that Jeff Christensen is Kyle Shanahan's first choice, but if the end result is that this guy is throwing better, he's more accurate, and he's not in pain anymore. I'm sure that Shanahan sees the value in those two guys working together, and I don't know this for sure, but I think that the plan is for Lance to go back to the Dallas area in June or whenever the minicamp is over, and kind of continue the Jedi learning with Yoda there, for that long period between minicamp and training camp.
One of the anecdotes in the piece was that maybe the average quarterback, or it might take Christensen on average with a quarterback maybe a day to find the root of the issue. But with Lance, it took 4 days. Did you ever find out? Was anybody ever go on the record as to say why it took Christensen longer to kind of figure out the issues that Lance was battling as opposed to most quarterbacks that he works with?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as that there was a lot wrong. The way that Christensen explained it, that there was a root issue, and he wouldn't get into what the root issue was, but that's what caused several other things to be a little bit out of whack. And so once that root problem was addressed, everything else started to pretty methodically and pretty rapidly fit together better. And he said that by the end, the last 7 days were extremely impressive. And, Lance left town with Christensen thinking that he made a lot of progress during that time there. Of course, the throwing coach is always going to kind of hype up the work that he did. And Lance has mostly downplayed it. I mean, I remember talking to him right after the season on locker room cleanout day and asking him, "Are you going to work on your delivery in the off season?" And he said no. And I was kind of astounded by that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always this disconnect between the players and everybody else about kind of what they need to do. And I think there's also a disconnect between what fans and the media, certainly I, kind of look at with a quarterback. I mean, we're obsessed with the arm and the arm motion and where the elbow is and whether there's a looping motion. But I think that the real experts, certainly Shanahan, is more obsessed with feet and a player's base and things like that. And obviously, it's getting all of that from foot to the eyes, getting all of that in sync, and that's what Christensen really worked on with Lance.
Well, it's really interesting. One, because we're led to believe that Lance's accuracy has potentially improved, and that the spin on the ball has improved. Last year, we saw some real, what I would call high speed wobbles, where
Yeah.
there's a lot of power in that arm, and the ball's not coming out really clean, and the wobble is wild. And then I went and looked up Trey's drop rate. Now, granted, it was a small sample size, but he had a 10% drop rate. I think there were only like two other quarterbacks in the league who had a higher percentage of drops in the short amount of time. But now we're also led to believe that his delivery time has become, a little bit cleaner, a little bit shorter. What do you think? I mean, what do you think the 49ers issues are with Trey's throwing? Do you think it's about the lack of a spiral? Is because I know that the receivers, and you can talk to any receiver there is, the hardest ball to catch is a ball that comes out hot and it's not a spiral, especially in any kind of inclement weather. So that to me seemed to be like for sure you need to throw with a spiral and not have those wobbles. And I saw some wobbles in his passes Tuesday, but they were less pronounced. They weren't wild wobbles. They were just kind of a little bit more subtle. What did you notice the differences?
I mean, I thought that he threw the ball well. I mean, I was watching
Mm-hmm.
him during the warm-ups and all of that seemed good. When he's missed in the past, he's missed high. I mean,
Right.
that was training camp. There was especially those out patterns, anything towards the sideline. I just remember kind of consistently, um, balls that those types of passes that have to be in a certain spot. You can't throw them too far inside or else they'll get picked off. You put them right at the sideline where only the receiver. And he had trouble hitting those. And when he missed, which was a lot, it was high. And so there was just no kind of consistency about that throw. And I think that's part and parcel to mechanics. If the mechanics aren't good, you can't be consistent. And that's what, when you ask the question, what are the 49ers looking for? That's it. The ball's out on time and it goes to the exact right spot every time. So that's what he's working on now. Very hard to say after one kind of 7-on-7 practice where I thought he was checking down a lot in that
He
practice.
didn't attempt very many down the field.
Yeah, I don't know, and sometimes that's what he's working on that day. I don't know exactly what he was supposed to be working on that day. I do know that some of his short throws have been off in the past. Um, so the fact that he was accurate on the short throws, even that, which you expect to be a gimme, I think that's a good step in the right direction. He was bad on the short stuff in Chicago. Now that was a very wet ball game, and sometimes those are the hardest throws to make because you really don't have a lot of time to kind of figure out where the dry spot on the ball is, this, that, and the other. So I think a lot of his stats, which aren't good over his career, are skewed by the fact that one of his four starts, one of his three complete games was a very, very oddball game in terms of weather. So I think that certainly drives down the stats a bit. The game against the Texans that he had in 2021, he completed 70% of his passes in that game. 70% would be,
It's great.
if not top two, top five in the NFL. So I think that's what the 49ers are expecting moving forward.
What was your takeaway from when his conversation in the auditorium with us when he revealed a few things? He kind of, I mean, to me that was, he really, I felt like we were really getting a good peek at kind of, just a little bit about what's important to him and his personality. He said he's enjoying playing football again, as if to suggest that there was a time where he wasn't really having a whole lot of fun. It was revealed that he's been working with a sports psychologist, and then Grant asked him, "Oh, was that brought on by the team?" And he's like, "Well, suggested by the team, but it wasn't necessarily handpicked by the team." But the way he spoke about his experience, it revealed that the pressure that this 23-year-old player is under is pretty immense, and it's a lot more than maybe some of us have talked about. He doesn't play it up for sure. He's not complaining, but to me, it seemed like a young man that had been through quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know whether that is kind of anticipatory. Here he is. When he was drafted, he was 20 years old. I'm sure people were wondering, okay, how is a 20-year-old going to handle all of this pressure? The team traded, used 3 first-round picks to get him. Um, I thought it's very interesting that I forget how many quarterbacks were taken in this most recent draft. I want to say 14.
I think that's right.
A huge number. 10 of those quarterbacks are younger than Trey Lance. So,
Wow.
it just underscores how young he is, and smallish college, didn't play a lot in college, and so there's a lot that comes with it. So I don't know whether he would kind of set up with a support group that helps him. Here we are, talking about what he was doing in March in Dallas, and what his S2 score was. That was a big thing in the winter. So everything that this poor kid does is scrutinized. Yeah, I wonder whether this is all part of it. Plus, he had the injuries. Plus, I mean, if Christensen is right, and Trey Lance is dealing with having to ice his elbow after 3 days of throwing regularly, I mean, that alone has to not just wear on your arm, but wear on your psyche. Like, this is
Sure.
my chosen profession, and I want to go out there and I want to practice as much as I can and get this right. But every time he does, he comes away with pain. I mean, I can just imagine what the type of distress, mental distress that might cause. And if that's cured, if that's in the past, that's got to be a tremendous monkey off of his back.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, imagine if you had to write all your articles and after 4 sentences you got carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, and you're sitting there and you're shaking out your hand, and I think this will get better, but it would probably you dread it, right? You would dread every article you wrote, and maybe he got to a point, and we never asked him, but I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't want to complain, but I wonder, was
Well,
he
and that's just
dreading?
it. Any sort of if you did complain, if you did note that, I'm dealing with pain, I mean, it would be automatically sniffed out as a weakness. Look at this guy making excuses about himself. So he can't. He has to. In this day and age, you have to go up there, and whether you're, you know, uh, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed or not, you have to pretend like everything is going great all the time. Everything's fantastic, because the minute that you show some modicum of honesty,
Right.
you just get
It's
you get
weakness.
bashed for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's you get bashed for it, and it's kind of like it becomes your story, part of your story, and the
Yes,
last thing you want to have is that to have that be some. Oh, and and then of course people are going to run with it. Oh, this guy just enough of the excuses. Well, is it an excuse, or are we talking about a reason? There's
right.
reasons and there's excuses. The interesting thing to me is that everybody who comes in contact with Trey Lance, whether it be 49er players, coaches, throwing coaches, media people, everybody's just won over by what a tremendous person he is. And at least I think that's I don't want to say a saving grace because I mean it makes it sound like he can't play at all, but it's definitely an advantage that people like him and they ever they admire him. His teammates admire him. I feel like I can say that. I've talked to a number of players on the record, off the record. They like Trey a lot, and they're rooting for Trey. This is not like this kid is, he's a this or that. No, they love him. The coaches love him. Shanahan. So, what do you think of what's going on right now? What did you think of the way Darnold looked, and how do you kind of crystallize this entire competition? Because what I took away from minicamp was in reading your article, you led with it that really the biggest revelation of OTAs was not on the football field. It was that Brock Purdy is told us that he's on track to throw a football next week, and then he's definitely maybe ahead of the schedule and definitely on pace to play week 1. And Shanahan kind of doubled down on that. We're optimistic for week 1, and Brock saying he feels good. He's already lifting weights regularly. He had the procedure March 10th. What do you make of the 49er quarterback competition or whatever you want to call it at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of struck by the difference between this year and last year with Lance. With last year at this time, OTAs, they were doing everything to sort of anoint him as the starter, prop him up as the starter. And to his credit, he did everything right. He said everything right. He kind of carried himself right. He looked good in the OTAs, et cetera, et cetera. He was the guy heading into the season. This year, that guy is Purdy. I mean, Purdy was the first guy to talk to us at the podium. That's usually the slot that the starting quarterback gets. And that goes with everything that Shanahan and Lynch have been saying. Once he's healthy, he's the guy. The bigger storyline, the more intriguing part is who's number two. And you would think that given everything that they said about Lance last year and where he was last year, he'd be the easy choice as number two. But I think that they are definitely taking a different approach this year, where they want him to kind of fight for that role, to struggle for him. They're not going to give him that number two job, and I think he's ultimately going to get it, to win it. He's starting out ahead of Sam Darnold, despite Shanahan saying that they're even and everything's going to even out. Lance is the incumbent. He knows the offense. He was the starter last year. He's ahead of Darnold at this point. Darnold has to catch up with him and beat Lance out. at some point between now and September 10. And I just think that probably Trey Lance is gonna, I'm gonna go with a guy who's got the lead right now in that one. I don't think that Lance is um, more supremely talented than him, but I just think that that's probably the way it's gonna work out. But that's probably the most important competition on this roster right now.
And it's funny. I've had people suggest to me that, we're all blowing this Niner quarterback story up and it's not as big as this and this and that. And then part of me says, yeah, you're probably right. But then the more I think about it, the more I think, well, wait a second. The Niners are an iconic franchise. They've been in 3 of the last 4 NFC championship games. They're a perennial Super Bowl contender. They're literally the only contending team that has a kind of a question mark at quarterback. And it's an incredibly interesting question because of their investment in Lance and the unbelievable nature of the pick with Purdy and now the reclamation of Sam Darnold. I mean, I don't know. In some ways, I wonder if we're talking about it enough. This is a really, really incredibly compelling story about the most compelling position in the most compelling sport in America.
It really kind of speaks to the um, unconventional way that the 49ers have built this team. Every other, playoff team or most other playoff teams, the best teams in the league, have one quarterback that they pay a mint to, and he's the unquestioned starter on that team, whether it's Mahomes or Allen or Lamar Jackson, et cetera, et cetera. It's a quarterback centric roster. That guy makes scads more money than everybody else does. The 49ers is different. They've got 3 very affordable quarterbacks, and it's everybody else. It's the tight end, it's the wide receiver, it's the left tackle, it's the running back, it's the middle linebacker. It's about to be the defensive end who are making scads of money. So in that way, it's interesting because you could say that, all right, the 49ers don't put the huge emphasis on the quarterback that other teams do. At some point, they'll have to make that decision, but they can get away without doing it for a while, which kind of allows them to have this question about this pecking order question that they have going into the season. But you're right, it's entirely unique to the NFL to have a team this good have this many questions about the top position on the team.
There was an incredibly compelling moment. It was a Tuesday media day after the Miami game, and I went into that locker room and I thought to myself, this is going to be really interesting today because Jimmy's gone for the year, and we're going to get a real sense whether the PR staff likes it or not, whether the 49ers want to have an edict or not. We're going to get an organic sense from talking to these players. Do they feel like the season's done? Do they feel like the season's in peril? Do they feel the same about the season as they did prior to Jimmy going down? And I left that room and I was just floored. The mood was light. The feeling was hopeful. There wasn't like, hey, we're trying to talk ourselves into we're still contenders. It was guys looking you in the eye saying, we feel great. We can win with this guy. I mean, they were all in on a 7th round draft choice who had only come off the bench and had never made an NFL career start. And yet they were all in that they were still very much a Super Bowl contender. And I got that feeling from any number of guys. You were in that exact same room on that exact same day. Did you, I mean, you've been covering it better, longer than I have face to face in the locker room. So you kind of know the expectation. I wasn't sure what we were going to get, but I was floored by the optimism, and it was genuine. It wasn't like some PR guy or Shanahan said, guys, look, the media's going to be in here in 15 minutes, and I want you guys to all put on a pretty face and sunshine this thing up. No, I didn't get that sense at all. I got the sense that these guys made their own determination that Brock Purdy was good enough. Give me your perspective on that day. And what were you expecting driving down that day? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, Garoppolo gets hurt early on, and I think there was that question mark, when that happens. I think that the fact that um, nobody had that panic after the game was because when Brock Purdy came in, he looked a lot like Garoppolo in that game. That offense did not have to change a beat. He was in rhythm. That was the thing that struck me the most, is that, and we saw this in the championship game when Josh Johnson went in. And I'm not trying to bash Josh Johnson,
Of
but
course.
you could see the change in pace. When he was the quarterback, he wasn't getting rid of the ball as quickly. Everything was slowed down, and it was palpable when Purdy went in, and it's a seventh round pick, and he barely played in training camp. Got some scant work with the third team group. We didn't see a lot of him. And when he came in, and the pace of things, the timing, the rhythm of things didn't change at all from Jimmy Garoppolo, X-year veteran, to Brock Purdy. I think that was the relief that everybody felt. I mean, you could feel that nothing changed with that offense.
We spent so much time talking about the quarterbacks, but give me a couple of your other takeaways from OTAs. I mean, there were a lot of subplots. There's a lot of players running around. There's a lot of great stories out there. Drake Jackson, I thought, was incredible looking. There were a number of guys in incredible shape. Marcelino McCrary Ball looks like he's going to be primed for a bust out year. Javon Kinlaw was extremely lean. I'm sure that was by design. Give me your takeaways. What stood out to you at the OTAs?
Yeah, you just mentioned Marcelino McCrary Ball. I was not surprised, but I noted that he was playing middle linebacker throughout that
Yeah.
entire practice. Fred Warner was there. Fred Warner was sort of coaching on the sideline. He was in his uniform, but he didn't practice, and so Fred Warner was in Marcelino McCrary Ball's ear hole the whole time, coaching him up. And McCrary Ball is just a ball, a McCrary ball of energy. I mean, he is a very kind of talkative guy. He's fast on the field. He's going to be somebody to watch. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
really, really talented, young and talented linebacker group. With him, with D. Winters, with Jalen Graham, those are the two draft picks. So it's going to be some tough decisions for this team at that linebacker spot. But I think that they're set up very nicely for the future there. And a lot of those guys will play on special teams as well. I agree with you on Drake Jackson. I was looking a little at Kalia Davis, who
Yeah.
he might as well be a rookie this year. He didn't get to practice very much at all last year. It was basically a redshirt season for him because he was coming off an ACL that he suffered at Central Florida, and he looked good. Again, there wasn't much offensive line, D line, but they like him because of his quickness. They think that he can be one of these kind of Kevin Givens like quick off the snap interior defensive linemen. And I was watching him during the drills portion, and he seemed to be just that. So he's another young guy to watch. The guy who jumped out the most to me was Isaiah Oliver.
Yeah. The
And I
nickelback.
saw him, and I saw that number 22, and that's sort of a seldom used number on this team. It's not one of the retired digits, but for one reason or another, no one's had it for a while. Terry Jackson, a running back when I first got on the beat, had it, and then Carlos Rogers, a really good cornerback when Vic Fangio was coaching things, had it. But it's been on mothballs until this year, and Isaiah Oliver has it, and he's a big guy, and he's got very long arms, and he's able to kind of cover a big swath of the field. He had 3 pass breakups just in the 7-on-7 session. He was all over the field. He looked really good. And then the other guy was Ronnie Bell. And
Yeah.
he was prominent in the rookie minicamp earlier this month, and was the most prominent receiver in this OTA. No Debo Samuel, no Juwan Jennings, no Brandon Ayuk. So it was a lot of second and third string guys in there. But He looked good, and he's we can definitely say that he's off to a very strong start.
That was it's funny. The last two drafts, when the Niners drafted Purdy, I'm like, what? Why would they take a backup quarterback, with a draft choice? I mean, it just made no sense to me. And then this draft, when they drafted Ronnie Bell, I was like, why? Why? How is this guy even going to make the team? He doesn't run well. He's not big. And now rookie mini camp and now this OTA period, this guy's got incredible ball skills. And you think about who's the best receiver in the game. It might be Cooper Kupp, and he ran 4.62, and he's not the biggest guy. I'm not saying Ronnie Bell's Cooper Kupp. Don't get me wrong, but Ronnie Bell has got elite ball skills. I mean, this guy can catch anything that's in it that touches his hands. He's got a great chance to catch. That competition? First of all, the number one thing that jumps out to me is that there's going to be great competition at several spots. But wide receivers right at the top of the list. I mean, does Ronnie Bell make the team? And if so, how many receivers do they take? Whose job does he take?
I mean, I think this year we're talking about three quarterbacks making the 53-man roster. So you can't go deep on very many spots. They love to keep 10 defensive linemen. They love to keep 9 offensive linemen. They only kept 5 wide receivers last year, which is a small amount. This is the NFL. I mean, most teams have 6 or 7, and the 49ers had 5. And so I can't see them, going to 6 this year. So I think the number is 5, and you got your first 3 in Jennings, Samuel, and Ayuk. And so now you're talking about 2 more spots for Ray McLeod, Danny Gray, Ronnie Bell, and Tay Martin. I think
Yeah.
those are probably the next 4 guys. So 4
Yeah.
of those guys, 2 spots. Um, Bell also returns punts, which I think is a big deal. The 49ers like him because he's sort of an overachiever. He is going to learn all 3 wide receiver spots um, by the end of by the end of the spring period. He seems like he's already there, but he's somebody that just his personality, his style, sort of makes you confident that okay, if we send Ronnie Bell in there, he's going to know what to do. And the fact that he can also play on special teams, to me, Bell and Ray McLeod are kind of competing for the same spot. Danny Gray is interesting. I think the 49ers drafted him last year knowing that he was going to be a project. And so the fact that he had 1 catch all season long really isn't as bad as that implies. There's some built-in patience there, I would say, and he's by far the fastest guy on the team. And Shanahan always wants to have one of his receivers being a burner. So I tend to think that he's going to make the team. And if I'm right on that, then that last spot is between Bell and Ray McLeod.
We appreciate you greatly, Maddie. 2 last ones. One, who do you think's got a better chance to actually earn a starting gig this summer between Darrell Luter Jr., who's probably going to compete with Demo Lenore, and Jair Brown, who was essentially their highest pick, who competes with Tayshaun Gibson? Do you think either of those rookies have a chance? Luter's an interesting guy because he's so big. He plays bigger than he is because of the arm length, and he's played a lot of man and he's been isolated. Where they're playing zone on the other side, they're playing off coverage on the other side, but he's on the line of scrimmage playing bump and run, and he's good at it. What do you think? I mean, Luter will really, to me, look good in this OTA, but it is just the OTAs. Does Luter or Brown have a chance? Either of them have a chance to earn a starting job, or do you think Lenore and Gibson will be the starters?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to injuries, of course, but I would say that probably Brown does. I mean, I think the 49ers plan with Brown is for Tashawn Gibson and Talanoa Hufanga to be the starters this year. And then Gibson's only signed for 2023. And so next year would be the Hufanga and Brown show, and I think that they hope that that's the case for a long time. But I mean, something. I mean, Hufanga wasn't even there on Tuesday, so anything can happen at any point. It just seems like there's a shorter path for Brown to get a starting role than Luter would. Um, I don't know if he's going to be ahead of Ambry Thomas or not. So he might it might require a couple of injuries for him to reach the starting lineup. But I mean, all of those guys. I mean, just about every rookie has already sort of had a highlight reel play or something like that to kind of indicate that these guys are off on the right foot.
So many of the pieces you've done recently have been so damn good. The Christensen piece was phenomenal. The Adam Peters post draft piece, when you're talking to Peters and getting his kind of feel about his picks, I always love that one. The Scott McLuhan, let's take a look at the draft from McLuhan's eyes, is always enlightening because McLuhan sees things differently and he has a great eye for talent. He loved Jalen Graham, and I think
Yeah.
Graham has looked terrific, kind of under the radar. We don't talk about him a lot, but the two guys that the one guy that I'd love to see you do a deep dive, I'd love to hear what Chris Kocurek says about Spencer Wagee, who I did an interview with. And I'm so amazed by this guy's combination of skills, get off, kind of his story, growing up on a farm. And he's just such a nice kid. He's just like one of those salt of the earth human beings, and incredible story. But I'd love to hear what people have you come across any commentary from anybody that you find that you respect about Spencer Wagee? Because to me, I mean, the motor, he was chasing down McCaffrey 40 yards down the field. He tore up his knee a couple of years ago. He doesn't even wear a sleeve. He's got a 1.66 10-yard split, the same as Alden Smith. I'm watching him do the bag drills, and I'm like, this guy's 300 pounds. I mean, he's got the hand usage and the whole thing. It's all tied together. To me, Wagee looks incredible, and Jalen Graham looks very impressive. I was even talking to Keena Turner. I said, hey, man, Purdue, every 20 years or so, produces a big-time guy the Niners get a hold of, because, of course, Keena went to Purdue too. But give me your thoughts on McLuhan's comments on Graham, and have you heard anything from anybody of substance on Spencer Wagee and what you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, Wagee, I mean, I think he's probably one of the top 4 undrafted guys that they brought in, along with Joey Fisher and Jack Coletto, and then the running back
Labor.
Laybourne. But I would put Wagee number 4 on that in terms of kind of expectations. He was a much lighter player at North Dakota State. Maybe it was around 260, sort of very typical defensive end edge rusher size. I think after their season there, he made a determination that, okay, you know what, I'm not going to be an edge in the NFL. I just don't have the speed, the bend to do it. I'm going to put on 30 pounds, and I'm going to be an interior lineman. I'm going to be somebody, maybe a 3-4 defensive end, a 3 technique, that the 49ers would use. And so that was a very kind of calculated decision that he made, and I think that it's gone very well for him. He trained with a group that Joe Staley works out with in Southern California in the run up to the draft. So he's been going up against some Staley trained offensive linemen. I'm sure Staley has talked to him about Shanahan and Kocurek and what he's getting himself into. But yeah, I think he's got a real chance. I don't know if it's this year. I think the plan, the blueprint, is for him to make the practice squad this year, and then, I mean, half of the 49ers defensive linemen are on 1-year deals. And then perhaps make a run for the 53-man squad next season, which would give him a full year of Kocurek, a full year of kind of really knowing this new position that he's playing. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's kind of a realistic goal the 49ers have thought this out. I mean, they circled him as a guy that they'd like to sign after the draft, and put him on that plan, the plan where he spends a year on the practice squad and then competes for a roster spot in 24. And then Graham, I mean, he's really interesting. I mean, you mentioned McLuhan liking him. I think Adam Peters liked him just as much. They had him and D. Winters rated very similarly, and they made the decision to go with Winters, probably because they realized that Winters, with his superior 40 time, probably would get snapped up.
Right.
Whereas Graham, I mean, they had a chance to get Graham a little later in the draft, and they did with their final pick. But he looks a lot faster on film than he certainly ran in his 40. I mean, he's very instinctive and takes great angles to the ball. I got the impression that he's very smart. All of these guys, by the way, and this doesn't happen every year. Didn't happen last year. But when they came in and met the media, each of these guys was really good, really kind of magnetic, beginning with Brown. He probably kind of leads the class in that regard.
Yes.
He's very charismatic, very likable, and you can tell why he was a leader at Penn State. But each of those guys in their own way was sort of the same way, funny, engaging. It's a good, for what we do, talking to these guys in the locker room. I think it's a very, very strong class. I mean, um, you know, the 49ers ranked at the bottom of all these post-draft report cards and
Right. Right.
whatnot. But if we did it on interviews, which is what really matters, I mean, to us, they get A++ in my book.
Yeah. I mean, Jair is a culture player. And you
Yeah.
could see they lost Jimmy Ward. They lost Emmanuel Mosley. Those guys were culture players. I don't think they just needed a safety. They needed a culture player or two. And I think in Luter and Brown, they may have gotten a couple culture players. When I say that, I mean just guys who are going to step into the room and ascend to the leadership roles in a short amount of time. Maddie, awesome stuff, man. What is next? What are you chasing down? If people, we've been pumping you up, saying telling everybody get the Athletic and pay the freight and get behind the paywall and get some of this incredible reporting. You're always good at really advancing the story and creating kind of new narratives. I know you don't want to necessarily give anything away, but what are anything that you can tease that you got in the hopper coming that you think that we're really going to look forward to reading?
Well, I'm working on a mailbag this week, and I could actually use some good questions. So if any of your viewers out there want to send me something on Twitter, that would be awesome. They've got a pressing question, something they're curious about with 49ers. I just ask that you include your first name and your last initial. So you would be Larry K if you
Gotcha.
asked a question.
There you go.
So I'm always looking for good questions on that. And the sort of the big pieces that David and I are working on, we like to do kind of profiles of each of the draft picks and the prominent undrafted guys. So we've already done one on Brown. I wrote one on Jack Coletto. I wrote one on Nick.
Yes, I
On
love the
Jake
one on Coletto.
Moody.
By the way, love the one on Coletto. He was very interesting.
And I'm working on one on Latu. And he's sort of the one that people are, oh boy, I'm not sure. I think that they might have reached with that tight end from Alabama in the third round. So I think there's a curiosity factor about him and why the 49ers chose him in that very, very talented tight end class that we just saw get drafted.
Awesome work, my friend. You do an incredible job. Keep it rolling. So the OTAs, like they separate it, but like we only get like one day. But how many days did they practice? Did they practice 2 days or 3 days?
This week, I think it was just two. And so one of them has to be open to the media. Next week, it's 3 days. And I think we're going to get the Wednesday practice open to the media.
Nice.
Oh, but there might be, I heard that there might be assistant coaches will be available at some point next week. So that's always interesting to kind of pull the Anthony Lynn's and the other guys aside and get their takes on the rookie class and other things like that.
Oh, I would love to talk to the D-line coach just about so many aspects. I mean, seriously, if you ever want to real. And 49ers, they have their own, 49ers.com, and they do their own live mic stuff. And they really ought to go down to where the D-line drills are and just give everybody a sense of what a day on the field next to Chris Kocurek sounds like, feels like. Because, I mean, this guy, we all should try as hard at our job as Chris tries at his. We should all be as passionate about what we do as he is about what he does. It's incredible. It's I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't get close enough. I wish they would turn the music off sometime and we could hear him and Daryl Tapp, because these guys bring energy that is just unmatched.
My voice can't even make it through a Larry Krueger hit on his podcast. I can't imagine screaming all day long like Kocurek does, and being able to speak the next day and to do it all again, the next day and the day after that. It's amazing.
What if Tim Kawakami was replaced by Chris, and then as you were writing your pieces, he was like, "You don't want to dig deeper. Come on, Barrows." Starts throwing his hat and pounding the ground, and
GTFO,
I want something deeper.
Yeah, and Tapp is the same way. Tapp is,
Yes.
cut from the same cloth as Kocurek.
Awesome.
That's why they work so well together.
Matty, you're great, man. Have a great night. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Everybody check out The Athletic. This guy's as good as it gets. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Larry.
Man. Take care. There we go. Matt Barrows. Absolutely top shelf guy. You can get, you can go Popov, or you can go Grey Goose. You can go, Safeway brand, or you can go Stoli. Matt's ordering off the top shelf. He's fantastic. And, and he's got great, this guy hustles and he advances the story. The Christensen piece was as good a piece as there was. I think people recognize that. Look at how many people did videos off of it. Look how many people did stories off of it. Matt is absolutely as good as it gets. He's really, really good. And that's why he's been on this beat a while, and he's respected. And I'll say this, as somebody who does locker room interviews, this guy goes in there and he asks questions and he gets answers, and he doesn't embarrass anybody. He doesn't disparage anybody. He doesn't insult anybody. He just is direct and real, and he doesn't take joy in the player's failure. He doesn't celebrate their weaknesses. And as far as I'm concerned, he's a class act. All right. And he's welcome on the Krug Show any damn day. All right. By the way, thank you to everybody in the chat. We are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. We've got some chats to read coming up next. But first, a word from our sponsors on the Krug Show.
So New York Style Sausage was started over 7 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never gonna deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
And do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch on a Wednesday night. Thanks to everybody. What a day today has been. And, yesterday with the OTAs, you knew we were going to be doing a lot of looking back at the OTAs. And I'd like to thank everybody today. What a great day we had here today. Wayne Breezy was on at 2 o'clock. Love me some Breezy. Breezy joining us from Connecticut. Great dude. You can catch me and Wayne every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. One day my channel, 1 week my channel, 1 week his channel. This week it was on our channel. Next week will be on the Breezy Extravaganza. So that was 2 o'clock today. Jordan Elliott, who's super underrated. Man, Jordan Elliott is really, really sharp young guy. I think he's a star. I really do. I mean, if I owned a radio station, I would definitely make that guy part of my Niner coverage because he's that good. And Niners Nation, Kyle Posey and the good people at Niners Nation have Jordan Elliott, and he's terrific. He really is good. And as you can tell, I only bring you good people. I will not put questionable people on this channel. Matt Barrows, as good as it gets, thanks to Maddie. So that was today. Tomorrow on the show, the great Vish Kumaran is going to be in the house. And I saw Vish and Grant got back together and did a show, and I watched it from start to finish. Man, Vish and Grant just, that was a great stream. It really was. So Vish is on tomorrow. I think 4 o'clock. We're going to talk with Vish. Jesse Naylor is going to be in the house tomorrow night. 6 o'clock for Jesse. He'll stop by. 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll wrap with Jesse and get his thoughts on OTAs and where the Niners stand at this point here as the calendar's getting ready to turn to June. We're about a month away from training camp. We're a week away from Brock Purdy maybe throwing. Also tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Matt Babcock is going to be on. You say, who's Matt Babcock? Matt Babcock is an NBA draft insider, and I'm a huge basketball fan, and I cover basketball on all levels. And I watched the Chicago pre-draft camp, and I got a bunch of basketball players that I really like for the Warriors. They picked 19th overall in the first round. And Matt Babcock, say that 5 times fast, but be careful. Matt Babcock is really, really good. Look him up on Twitter. And I've had him on the last few years. I used to have him on the radio. And this guy is just, I think he's a former agent. He's a former basketball scout. I mean, this guy really knows basketball. He knows all the players. And I don't think it's going to be one of the more, packed streams because I don't do a lot of Warrior stuff. We do a lot of Warrior post game, but most people that follow me for Niners stuff and football stuff, and I get that, but I don't care. I don't care. Matt Babcock is going to be on tomorrow at 1, and if it's a lowly attended stream, so be it. People will catch it over time though because Babcock's information is unbelievable. And if you're a Warrior fan, there's a lot of talk about the Warriors trading for LeBron. Oh my God, I hope they don't do that. Joe Lacob, if you're out there, if you're listening, I know you're the self-made billionaire, but listen to me and listen to me good. You won and you built a dynasty off of a team that was built through the draft. Steph Curry, you drafted him. Klay Thompson, you drafted him. Harrison Barnes, you drafted him. Draymond Green, you stole him in the second round. Jordan Poole, you drafted him. Your best players, your core, your championship, your dynasty, your championship core, your dynasty core, it all came through the draft. Now I'm reading that the Warriors and LeBron have mutual interest, and the Warriors may trade Kuminga, Moody, Poole, and maybe more picks. You're going to trade all your young guys and future draft picks for LeBron James, who's eroding and is suggested the other day he may retire. And yeah, he had one strong game at the end. You're going to go off that. LeBron's going to be more banged up and more old and more decrepit by next year. And you're going to trade Kuminga, Moody, and Poole and future picks for LeBron. Don't do it. Do not do that. The smarter move is definitely to trade Poole, move on from Poole, get yourself 3 or 4 picks, and go hand pick your future core. And there's a bunch of guys that are gettable, that will not go in the lottery, that are going to be there from 19 on down, be there in round 2. The San Jose State kid, the point guard, he's a nice player. I mean, there's several really good players. Tristan Vucevic, the 7-footer from Serbia, who came out of Italy this year. He's got a ridiculous shooting stroke. Trace, is it Jackson Davis? He's Antonio Davis's kid, played at Indiana this year. He would be an incredible Warrior. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. There really are. The Connecticut 2-guard, Jordan Harrison, is that his name? He's an incredible shooter. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are going to be there, 19 on down, round 2, that you can get. That can be your new next core. Do not go trading all your guys for decrepit LeBron and then try to win a title next year. And I mean, come on. You're seriously going to drive your franchise off a cliff? I mean, that's what the Warriors are going to do. The whole 2 timeline thing was born out of the idea that you don't want to drive your team off a cliff. So suddenly you fall short this year, and now, screw that. Let's drive our team off a cliff. You make that trade, and you trade Poole and Kuminga and Moody and picks for LeBron. You're probably not going to win a title. And then you're going to have to basically charge people. You're going to have to lower your prices because nobody's going to want to watch you suck for 5, 6, or 7 years as you bottom out because you just refuse to keep building. Do not go for the quick fix. There are no quick fixes in the NBA for the most part. You have to draft and develop your way to a title. That's how you did it. That's how you're going to do it. Don't fall for the quick fix. Or as Eddie Murphy said, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. All right, you get what I'm going. But yeah, seriously, the draft. We'll talk a little NBA draft with Matt Babcock tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'm really looking forward to that. I love talking about this stuff. And so we got a big Thursday. I'm also trying to chase down Dave Lombardi, but I think he might be traveling. And then Friday morning at 10 a.m., the great Matt Mayoko is going to be in the house. Mayoko is going to stop by. We haven't had Mayoko on the Krug show, but I figured, you know what? Let's wrap with Matty Mayoko. Be like old Sports Phone 680 days. I mean, him and I have been talking Niners since, the 90s. I mean, seriously, 20 years. It's been a long time. I used to have Matty on all the time when he was working. God, who was he working for? Santa Rosa Press Democrat? I forget who he was working for at the time. But Matty is obviously doing great things at NBC Sports Bay Area. I respect him greatly. And I believe his son or daughter is graduating high school that day. But it's in the afternoon. He said, I can do something in the morning, Krug. So 10 a.m. Friday morning, Matt Mayoko. And then noon on Friday, Jack Hammer and I are going to do a show that's going to be on both my channel and his channel at the same time. How about that? I'm looking forward to that. So we got a lot coming up on the Krug show and even more players next week. We got a lot of things in the hopper that I can't really announce just yet, but it's all coming. And I appreciate every single one of you guys. By the way, let me just say this, because we always check in on exactly where we stand as far as subs and the channel. My son is putting out lots of great content via the videos. We just got to 18,000 subs. We're now at 18,187. And we've had over 810,000 views in the last 4 weeks alone of our live streams and videos. Over 132,000 watch hours of this channel over the last 4 weeks. To say this channel is blowing up does not speak to it. And it's all because of you. It's all because of you guys. MF, Fish and Chips, Vitamins, Fork-tailed Devil, you name it. I mean, Haruku Atoki, who I blocked and unblocked. Fish and Chips, we love you. And I don't need everybody to agree with me every day. I really don't. You want to come on here and tell me I'm fucked up? Go ahead. Tell me I'm fucked up. That's all right. I can handle it. But I just want to say thank you to everybody, because thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to all of you guys, because I've never had this much fun covering sports in this market as I'm having right now, because I work for myself, and I have people on the channel who I respect and I like and I admire. And hopefully we're bringing you good content. That's really, at the end of the day, that's all I really want. All right, let's hit the chat here. Couple last chats before we bolt for the door. And seriously, we bring a bunch of different opinions to the mix. I don't necessarily agree with everybody. One thing I really don't want to see is, like, I know people, it's like we're content creators. Everybody's got like a flavor of ice cream, right? So, you go to Baskin and Robbins, there's 31 flavors. And I always went with Rocky Road. I just love Rocky Road. Vanilla, Rocky Road at Baskin Robbins is the greatest thing of all time. And there's almonds, real marshmallows, and the chocolate in the Rocky Road is even better than just regular chocolate ice cream. I think it's a little bit different. I'm not sure. I can't say that for sure, but I think. But I love, not only do I love ice cream, I love the fact that there's a variety of people out there who give a variety of opinions. And you know what? I'm down with all of it, and it's like, there are people that I argue with, there's people that I'm fighting with, there's people that I'm battling with, but I don't want you guys all to get in the chat and, start ripping people. I really don't. It doesn't make me happy when I see people ripping Grant or ripping Jesse or ripping anybody, or ripping Ryan. And even if, Ryan blocked me on Twitter and, we've had this battle, so what? It's still sports. At the end of the day, he's a good guy who loves his family. I'm a good guy. I love my family. Nobody died here. No, there's no real, I didn't do anything to him. He didn't do anything to me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you don't have to be like, F these guys. I don't like this guy. I don't like that guy. Let's just, at the end of the day, it's like, we're all different flavors of ice cream. And, just, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's like, life's too short to be carrying around grudges and anger and that kind of thing. I don't do it. It's not healthy. And I would say my advice, I don't tell any of you how to think, that's for sure. But I would just say, you know what? Don't rip those guys. It's not, you're not winning any favor with me to rip those guys. If you have your opinions, express your opinions, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I like Grant, I like Jesse, I like Ryan, I like all these guys. I like Vish. I like all the guys, even guys that I'm battling with. I still generally at the end of the day like them. We're talking about sports battling. We're not talking about life and death. We're not. We're just not. So just try to keep it all in perspective, because right now we're lucky enough to, be healthy enough to talk about sports and do these things and have fun, talk Niners, talk Giants, talk Warriors, talk whatever. And at the end of the day, yeah, we all get a little wrapped up in our opinions and our predictions and our this and our that. But at the end of the day, man, seriously, it's all about, do you love your kids? Do you love your wife? Do you love what you do? Do we get along? Let's all just get along. That's the way I look at it. And it doesn't bring me any joy to see people ripping other guys. It really doesn't. So if you could limit that stuff, man, man, I would appreciate it, just because it's not that I'm not bent or anything. It's not like I'm not mad at anybody. If you say you don't like some content creator, that's fine. I'm sure there's people elsewhere saying they hate me and this and that. I read all the comments, and I'll say this. I mean, I never feel as good about the compliments as I feel bad about the rips, and that's just who I am as a person. But at the end of the day, I can take it either way, man. I'm a big boy. I'm a tough guy. I can handle the criticism, and I can handle the back and forth. And you know what? You don't do 30 years on the radio and have a million people shouting all kinds of things at you. If I wanted a job where nobody ever criticized me, I would go do a private job. There's tons of private sector jobs. The reality is I'm putting myself in front of this camera. I'm projecting out to you guys. I'm broadcasting, whether it be on the radio at 95.7 or on my YouTube channel, whether it was on KMBR for decades, and I'm putting myself out there. I had this conversation with Dusty Baker years ago. It's like, hey, you know what? There's a lot more private jobs than there are public jobs. So if you got a public job and you're lucky enough to be talking sports to the public, you just gotta take the good with the bad, man. You just gotta take the good with the bad, and just acknowledge that the opposite of love is not hate. It's truly indifference. And if nobody cared, then I wouldn't have 18,000 people in less than a little bit over a year that sub to the channel. So it's just the way it is. And some are going to like you and some are going to hate you. You can attack me all day. You attack my kids, we're fighting. And that's going to be tough for me, because my son, Kevin, who's a big part of my channel, is now going out on Twitter and putting stuff out there in the last couple of days. And I know I'm going to see something that somebody says to him, and it's going to hurt me, because that's my baby, even though he's 22. So, and I understand, sometimes I think of Lowell, and I think, all the criticism that Grant gets, and it's like Grant can be whatever age Grant is, but he's still Lowell's baby. You know what I'm saying? So Lowell's sitting there going, hey, that's my baby. So I understand that too. Anyway, I'm not making a lot of sense right now. I just wanted to say that let's all just try to be civil to one another as much as we possibly can be, and just take it for what it is. All right, let's hit the chat. We got a bunch of people in the chat that have said a lot of good things and a lot of interesting things. I hope you loved Maddie, because Maddie is he's good, man. He's really, really good. Really good. Third string all pro. You lazy, Larry. And somebody asked in the chat, is this a bit and we don't know about? Yes. My mentor, my lifelong friend, a guy that I loved, more than almost like a second father to me, was the former Raider D-line coach, the former Bengal D-line coach, the former Sacramento Gold Miner D-line coach, the former Ohio State Buckeye D-lineman, All-American, Bill Urbanek. And he passed a couple of years ago. And, he used to say that all the time to me. And it made me laugh. I would joke with him, and we'd be talking on the phone, and I was his GA in Sacramento. GA is a grad assistant, which is kind of like my job was quality control, which is ironic that Grant calls himself quality control. That was the job that I did. I did defensive quality control for the Gold Miners for a couple seasons, and he was the defensive coordinator. And he said to me, do you work hard? I said, fuck yeah, I work hard. And he said, okay, then you show up whatever time you think you should show up, and you leave whenever you think you should leave. And then after a while, we'll talk about it. I said, okay. So I got there early, 6:45, 6:45 in the morning, and I'd leave maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, dude, nobody can tell me S, man. I'm working hard. Who's working harder than me? Until I realized that all these coaches and scouts all worked harder. And then finally he's like, Larry, you're fucking lazy. You're beautiful, boy. You're beautiful, but you're fucking lazy. So I said, okay, coach, I'm tired of you calling me fucking lazy. What you picked me up. We trained at Rancho Murrieta, Sacramento Gold Miners. The great Fred Anderson owned the team. I lived in Rancho Cordova. I went to Sac State, so I'm living in Rancho Cordova in my sort of frat house. It was actually just an apartment. It was actually a rented house with a bunch of my Sac State buddies. But these guys are, hitting 6-foot bongs and partying up and down and, chasing girls and, whatever. College, right? And I'm out of college, but I'm still living with these guys. And sure enough, he's like, I'll pick you up at 4:45. I'm like, 4:45? So I'm like, okay. So I'm out there at 4:45. Picks me up, takes me out to Rancho Murrieta. We're there all day. Drops me off at 1:15 in the morning. I got people stumbling out of my house drunk. I got a kegerator and a pool table and co-eds and hot tubs. And, it's 1:00 in the morning. There's parties going on at my house. I'm coming home from work. And he would be like, all right, boy, I'll pick you up in the morning. And I'm like, all right, what time? He's like, 4:45. I'm like, it's 1:15 right now. He's like, you're fucking lazy. Larry, you're a good boy, but you're fucking lazy. So anyway, for the rest of life, every time I would talk to Billy on the phone, I would say, Coach, I love you, bro. And he'd be like, I love you, boy, but let me tell you. And I go, I know, I'm fucking lazy. So I kind of told that story once on the show, maybe a couple times. And now people in the chat drop, you're lazy, Larry, you're lazy. So anyway, I'm glad that you guys do. It makes me laugh and it makes me think of Billy. And I loved him. I absolutely loved him. And he did show me what it meant to work hard. And it also motivated me to be in radio and not a football scout. I would have been a football scout, but I was fucking lazy. And I decided I wanted to have a regular life with regular kids and a regular wife. And I actually wanted to have relationships and not just, I don't think you guys realize, like, Shanahan, has like a big family night Friday night, but man, the rest of the week's the Niners, and he ain't alone. That's the profession. These guys work. And that's why it's so absurdly insulting to football coaches and football people when people who do what I do or radio or media, when we really get into questioning them, they're like, do you have any idea how many man hours go into our game plans and how many man hours go into these decisions? And it's like, to even suggest that you even have any input that would in any way be credible to what we're doing when you're just kind of checking out the game, maybe watching it once or twice on a TV copy and then saying, I think this and I think that. It's like, go to hell. We don't care what you think because you're not invested. We're invested. You're not. And so once you've rolled that tape back and forth and you've worked those hours, you know what it means to know. And then when you know what it means to know, then I know what it means to be what I am right now. I don't know. I'll give you my opinions and I got a pretty good sense of it, but I don't know because there was a day I did know. And there was a day that I rolled that film back and forth 9,000 times, and I wrote these reports, and I looked at every possible piece of data imaginable, and there was a time where I devoted 100+ hours a week to knowing football. I'm not spending that now. I'm not spending 100 hours a week doing it. Doesn't mean that my opinion's not worth shit, but I'm just saying it's. You see why football people sometimes push back on media people. It's because, dude, you're not working 1/100th as hard as we are. And you've got opinions that are empirical from what? You watched the game and saw it again? You watched it a third time? You took some notes? Stop, please. You don't know what you're talking about. And you have no concept of all the things that go into practice. So you're sitting there evaluating practice. Like, I'll give you my opinions on who look good, but there's so many things that go into it. So many that when you know there's all the factors that go into it, how many times, there's any number of reasons that a coach is going to call a play in practice. And it could be for any number of reasons. Hey, you know what? The DB coach could say to the offensive coordinator on the way out to the field, dude, I can't even get my guys to buckle their chin straps until we get to the team period. Can you go at my corners? Hey, by the way, I want you to, go at this guy because, I don't think he's ready today. Or, I want you to go at that guy because, I want to see what this guy's got. And there's just so many things that go into day to day that it's when we look at things, we're like, well, this guy got this reps and it obviously means this. It obviously means nothing. There's like 27,000 things it potentially could mean. So that's all I'm saying. And I'm not talking down to you because I'm one of you. I'm on the other side. I'm not spending 100-hour work weeks, watching this stuff. I'm like you. I'm watching it once, twice, 3 times. I may have some professional training from having done it, decades ago, but come on. I'm more a media guy than I'm a football guy, and that's real. I'm trying to be as real as I can be with you. All right, Fish and Chips says Matty B, all pro. Third string all pro says top notch, Larry. Yeah, Fish and Chips says no drama, good vibes. Third string all pro. Matt, is Pappy Van Winkle? Not sure what that means. El Camilo Dorado, Corte Madera. Check out Pig in a Pickle. Third string says pig in a pickle music got me in a groove. You like that? You like the Pig in a Pickle music? You like that? You like that beat? There you go. A little Pig in a Pickle for you. We got this one. Forktail Devil. Vish is good. There you go. Appreciate you. Third string all pro. Matt Barrows, Larry, Jack Hammer, best name in the biz, Damon and Vish. Oh, some of the people that we have on. We have a lot of good people on. I won't put somebody on this channel that I don't think's good. I won't. If I don't think you're good, you're not on the channel. And that doesn't mean that people that haven't been on the channel I don't think are good. Some of them I just haven't gotten around to yet. El Camilo Dorado. Larry and Damon are the tops right now. Wow. Damon Bruce. Who knew? El Camilo Dorado. Warriors can't let Trey Young go to the Lakers. I did see that rumor. Lakers want Trey Young. Trock. No Braun in the Bay. Seriously. Can we get something going so that doesn't happen? The last thing I want to see is LeBron cherry pick more championships. So what? So that you get more illogical idiots telling us that he's better than Jordan? No thanks. G. Martinez is Amari Moore. Yes, there it is. That's the San Jose State point guard. He's 6'6". Joe Lacob. Go get Amari Moore. Probably don't even have to draft him. Probably just sign him after the draft. Get him on your summer league team. Invite him to camp. That kid can play. He can play for sure. Haruku says Kerr is like Dusty. Not sure if they can add pieces to the veteran roster with young guys they don't trust. I just don't want to, it's not that LeBron can't play or that he stinks. It's just, I don't want him here. I don't like LeBron. I'm a Warrior fan. What Warrior fans and it's amazing. All the people are like, oh, you know what? Bring him here. Why do we want LeBron here? Some guy who just, somebody glances, so he gets a slightly edge to the face. He's throwing himself all over the floor. I mean, he's the biggest flopper in the world. I mean, it's like, seriously, it's like LeBron's more suited for like Days of Our Lives than he is for the NBA at this point. Fish and Chips, Beverly Hills Cop quote from Larry. Which one was that? I'm forgetting. Fish and Chips says simulcast. There you go. Third string all pro. Larry's blowing up. The channel's blowing up. Yeah, Mason Wright. Is your son Jackson Krueger? I don't know who Jackson Krueger is. No, my son's Kevin Krueger. And follow him. Give him a follow on Twitter. He's a great kid. And he's producing some incredible videos on our channel, which is growing this channel by amazing leaps and bounds. MF, one of my favorites. What's going on, MF? He says, this channel is epic. Appreciate you, man. Third string all pro. Your content is better than everyone else's. This is the best one right here. Trock. Larry's fucked up like us. That's why we watch. That is great. MF. I love cotton candy. Martha Fokker. Martha Fokker. I remember Is that you, Fokker? Oh man, I love that movie. Are you talking about Ryan now? No, I'm not. I wasn't talking about anybody specifically. I'm really not. G Martinez says content beef is gold. All right. To each their own on that one. Third string all pro. We're talking ice cream. He says mint chip and cookie dough ice cream were my favorite. Yeah, I cookie dough is not bad. Cookies and cream is not a bad one. Mint chip I can go for, but I got to be in the right mood. It's too much. I can't. I can have maybe half a scoop of mint chip. Then I need something else. Fish and chips. Behavior relegates my decisions. Larry. Okay. Daniel Shabazz. I love you. Daniel, I love you too. What else we got? Artur. Hensley blocked you on Twitter? Seriously? What the fuck? Yeah, because I liked a comment that guy said that he gets his NFL knowledge from a Sacramento mortgage lender, and I liked it, and he got bent. I shouldn't have liked it. I think I might have unliked it at some point, but that was funny. Come on, you got to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes. MF says Chris Sims ranked Pickett ahead of Purdy. I know, seriously. Chris Sims, just get out. Get out. I mean, and who is Chris Sims, by the way? I mean, seriously, what did Chris Sims ever play in the NFL at all? He played at Texas. I know he played with Shanny. But I mean, Kenny Pickett is better than Brock Purdy with the gloves, the Steeler guy. That's just wrong. Third string all pro. They're not bad people, but they definitely have an agenda. LOL. Haruku. In 2 years, Krug, if Wiseman tears it up, I have to send you a super chat. He is going to tear it up at some point. He's going to learn how to play. Fish and Chip says, yes, Larry, but the vibe in this live chat was visibly different, and that's important. Josh says, Larry is the adult in the room. Hey, there's a first. There's a first. I don't think anybody's ever said that about me. All right. What else? No more about Ryan here. Let's see. A Data 84. At the end of the day, it's all about New York style sausage.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
There you go.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Pasquale. Got to go down there and check out Pasquale. I haven't been down in a while. Let's see. Here we go. Martha Fokker. You need very thick skin to make it in the YouTube world. Yeah, it's true, I guess. Max says, you're the man, Larry. Appreciate you. Bucko. Larry, can you please pronounce Spencer's last name as Wagee and not Wagee? Is it Wagee? Is it Spencer Wagee or Wagee? God, I should have asked him when I had him on. I'll say this, though. That kid can play. Adata says, Larry, grinding content all day. Definitely not lazy. Trock, Larry, you are legit the best in the biz at this. Your platform is blowing up, and the smart ones are using it to their advantage. Archer, Larry is the man. MF, Larry, will Crawford get DFA'd? Oh, that would be sad. I hope not. Come on. You can't have a defensive shortstop like Crawford play out the rest of the string. You ain't going anywhere. Like what? You're going to get rid of Brandon Crawford and something you're going to take off? You're going to win. You're going to the playoffs? Treat that guy well. Come on. Seriously, treat that guy well. Bucko. Also, Larry, block the green blue light. Looks weird on your beard. Oh, I do have the green blue light going on. I actually have colored lights underneath here a little bit. I know. It does kind of give me kind of a people think I'm really ill. I've got green skin. I kind of like it. Bucko says, love you otherwise, Larry. Thank you. We got this one, fish and chips. The other creators don't want to lose subs and clicks and didn't like when all pros like Larry and now Damon are here too. There are a couple people that have gotten a little salty about, people used to watch me and now they don't. It's like, bro, try to stay positive and don't, Aaron and a couple people have been like, kind of like, hey, we were here first and now we're not getting what we used to get. And I hear you, brother. I hear you. I like Aaron too. And I feel bad. I don't know what we're supposed to do about it, but I feel bad. My favorite line was, why don't you do a solo show? Krug had me rolling. Daniel Shabazz. You're right, Larry. I could not do what you do. Much respect to you. You couldn't do this. Haruku. Krug, the Warrior playoff postgame was the best. Yeah, I mean, how good was my postseason crew, by the way? I mean, seriously, I'll say this. I'll put my postseason crew up against anything 95.7 has, anything KMBR has. I mean, I had Carl Foster, Frank Red, Cyrus Satzes, Baller, Danny, Rye. Who am I forgetting? JD, after he was done at 95.7, he'd come on over. Yeah, we had a really good time. Too bad the Warriors couldn't make it go one more round. But I will say this: Cy asked me at the beginning of the playoffs, "Are the Warriors going to win a title?" And there was a lot of debate. Some people said yes, some people said no. I said they will not lose. They will not get by Denver. Well, they didn't wind up getting by the Lakers, but they weren't getting by Denver. That's for damn sure. Archer says Larry's an alien with that green chin. All right, good. Turn off the light. There we go. How's that? Better? Do you like it? Adata says, Larry with 18,000 subs. Bucko. He has an alien blue stubble beard right now. Sometimes it's green. Okay. MF. Larry, what do you think of Glenn Kuiper getting let go? Oh, man. So disappointed. I know Glenn Kuiper. Okay. I know him. He's not just a name. He's not just some person that I've heard about. I know him. I've worked with him. I know what Glenn is about. And I don't care what you think of me. Glenn did not mean to say that. Glenn should never have said that. He should have corrected himself. He made a huge mistake. The fact that we just ball him up like a piece of paper. Oh, you know what? Here's Glenn Kuiper's career. Let's just throw it out. Bullshit. Don't come at me with anything else because you don't know him. I know him. Don't tell me he said it twice. No, he didn't. Terrible. And people who piled on him, there's a fiery furnace of afterlife coming your way, baby. Enjoy that. He should never have said that. We all know it was a mistake, but it was not a mistake from his heart or his head. It was a mistake in his linguistic speech. He said it the wrong way. He should have corrected himself. Dallas Brady should have corrected him. Some producers should have corrected him. Should have apologized quicker, but I don't know if any of it would have mattered. I feel terrible. I feel sick to my stomach for Dwayne, for Jeff, for Glenn, for their family. Sick to my stomach. We have to be better in our society than just throw people away. I mean, what is that accomplishing? He said the wrong thing and he came out the wrong way. But before you're going to read what's in somebody's heart, you got to know them and just ask yourself, do you know that man? No. It's terrible. What he said, you can't say that word and he knew it. But it wasn't like he was trying to make some statement. He misspoke. It was a mistake. And all these people, especially writers who question broadcasters, you should be sentenced to the rest of your career without backspace. And then you might have an idea of what the rest of us go through when you talk in front of a microphone. Write articles for the rest of time without backspace. And anything you write is printed. No editing, no backspace. We'll see how good you are. All these people, well, you should have done this, and you should have done that, and you should have done this, should have done that. You're not as good as him. You couldn't do it. You wouldn't stand up to it. Anyway, what he said was reprehensible. He knows it. What he said, he can't say. Made a huge mistake. As somebody who has been in this area before, I understand. Not excusing it. It was awful. And I understand those who don't know Glenn, who heard that, are like, he needs to be fired. I get it. I understand that, because how could you hear what he said as clearly as it was stated and not say he should be fired? I know him. I know what is in his heart. He is a kind-hearted, loving person. He wasn't ripping anybody. There was no malice. He misspoke. It was a mistake. He should have owned it. He should have been suspended. And he should have been reinstated. But it didn't happen. And I feel sick. I feel sick. Because I know that he is not the guy that now people are going to walk around for the next number of years saying, that guy. No, wrong. That guy's not a bad guy. That guy's a great guy. That guy's not a hateful racist. That guy's a good man. I feel sick. Absolutely sick about it. I understand, though. I understand. I understand if you didn't know him and you heard that, how you would come to the conclusion of, get him out of here. Get him out. I get it. I understand. I see it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. I'm just telling you, I know him. And I know that's not, for a lot of people, it'd be like, I don't care. I don't care what you know, Krug. Okay, that's fine. But I do know him. And I know he's a sweet guy. And I know there's no hate in his heart. And I know he never would have said that. Never. It's not in his heart. It was a mistake. He made a mistake. Why can't we forgive in our society? Why do we have to throw people away? Why can't we forgive? Why can't we learn and grow? Nope. There'll be no learning. There'll be no growth. Get the hell out. It's a weakness in us as a people. That's what it is. It's truly a weakness that we can't show empathy when people make actual mistakes. You made a mistake. Where's the empathy? But and at the same time, I'm fair-minded. I do understand. If you don't know him like I know him, and you don't know what he's about, and you just heard that, how could you reach any other conclusion? That you just can't say it, and he said it, and he's going to have to live with it. I still feel sick. Hope I got that out as well as I could. I've known Glenn, I've known Dwayne, I've known Jeff. They're good people. This is not what he's about. It's not what Glenn's about. And I hope him and his wife and their family find solace in whatever he goes to next. But it's over probably, So terrible. All right. We got this one from Third String All Pros. Kipe is the best in the biz. Whether he's the best in the biz or not, he does not have hatred in his heart. He just doesn't. There's nothing anybody could tell me that would tell me otherwise. And then this investigation they did, Love to know what that produced, because I don't buy it. I don't buy that Glenn's some hateful guy. I don't. Too many conversations, too much dialogue, too many years, too much, come on. The guy went to the museum and was excited and talked about it, and he's out. It's terrible. MF says it's not football season until T-Rock is back on the airwaves. I hear you. Sam says, you are the man, Larry. Tell us more about Pig in a Pickle. Details. What's the go-to? The go-to is anything at Pig in a Pickle. I mean, it's great barbecue. It's phenomenal. It's the chili is amazing. The brisket is phenomenal. It's all really, really good. And they work at it. And they've got a great location in Emeryville. Really sweet spot. It's like in the Emeryville Public Marketplace. You'll love it. Bring your family there. Great tables, a bunch of different restaurants. So like one family wants to go somewhere else for dinner, you can go to a different spot and all sit at the same table. But the Marin County location's their primary location. The potato chips are amazing. Yeah, just a terrific restaurant. Really is. Third String All Pro. I remember Gary and Larry on KMBR back in the day. Appreciate you. Third String. What segment were you on before Gary? I did nighttime. Yeah. Well, and then I was on satellite. Third String all pro, but you're beautiful, Larry. Lazy, but beautiful. MF said getting frisky in the hot tub. Josh has loved that story. All right. Well, you know what? Let's see what else. We got this one from Bucko. He says, Larry, block the blue beard light. And it's pronounced Spencer Way G. Love you, Larry. But you are lazy. The Car Gods. Larry, did you check out Grant Cohn's interview with the college quarterback coach that dissected Trey's mechanics? He was on point like most quarterback coaches are. I heard about it, but I was doing a bunch of other things. I'll probably get to it later tonight. Talking Giants tonight. I saw they got drilled. They got drilled by the Twins. What else? Man, endless chat here. Forktail. Chris Sims is the poster boy for nepotism. All right. MF. Larry's a grinder. Bucko says, I went to school at North Dakota State. Vicky Pellich. Hey, Vicky. She says, Larry, the adult, thanks for sending the Krug Show t-shirts a while back. I love it. I'm glad you got it. Yeah, if anybody wants one of the Krug Show t-shirts, I got a box of them sitting behind me. They come in large, XL, double XL, triple XL. We got this one from Archer. By the way, Larry, when are you doing the phone in or video in on your show? I'm dying to get on with you, brother. We will do that. Maybe we'll do one of those segments in the next day or two. The Krug phone. I don't want to steal it from Cone. The Cone phone. But yeah, we'll definitely do some Krug phone. I love that. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is talk. I was the guy who always loved doing phone calls. That's why Gary and I got along so well, because we both love phone calls. Because the audience, that was what made Gary such a superstar, is that Gary was so damn funny, and he could play off the audience so organically and so naturally that he was just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Kevin Krueger says, like and subscribe. Great kid. Working his ass off. Fish and Chips says, Frank Red is just one cool dude. How could you not like that man? Oh, no. Frank and I have been buds for years. Frank and I used to sit at the Warrior games and talk Warrior hoop when they were totally shitty. When they were just awful. I mean, like John Starks over to Terry Cummings down to Chris Mills, awful. It was bad. But yeah, Frank's the man. Frank's awesome. Frank's just started his own YouTube channel. We got to get Frank on here. Maybe I'll get Frank on the next day and talk about his new YouTube channel. Everybody sign up for Frank Red's YouTube channel. And I don't have the name of it right now. But Frank Frank's so real, and he's a New York guy who played at Fordham. He's a teacher. He's a basketball head. He's just a great dude. And, one of my greatest joys is the ability to have my goodest, now I need to end this stream. My goodest friends, my best friends, are the guys that I love talking ball with. And, I just have great affinity for Frank. We even have, maybe we'll play Frank's song on the way out, because Frank is a musician. He's a rapper. He's collabed with some really, really good people. We'll play his song on the way out, because I have it here in the hopper, and it's awesome. And Frank is just one of my very favorite people. What I love about Frank is he knows the game cold, but it's not about that. It's like, he doesn't try to big league anybody, but he's got a great sense of humor. He doesn't talk down to anybody. You know what I mean? He's like, Frank played at Fordham. He played college basketball. He could easily come on here during basketball discussions and talk down to like a Cy or me or anybody, Danny, but he doesn't do that. Why? Because Frank's too classy. And same with Carl. Carl ran the Oakland Soldiers, the AAU program that LeBron played at before, when he was at St. Mary's, or St. Elizabeth St. Mary's. I forget the name of LeBron's high school in Akron, but he played on Carl's AAU team, the Oakland Soldiers. And just Carl and I go way back too. It's like, it's cool. It was so cool having him on. I have nothing but total respect for Carl and his knowledge of hoop. And I just knew, when we have Cy, who's so emotionally into it, JD, who's just so, I think JD is the best Warrior talker on 95.7. And then Frank, who played college ball, Carl, who literally, coached a team that had LeBron on it, and knows basketball like incredibly well. Danny, whose brother coached JC ball forever. I mean, we really got some incredible perspectives during basketball season. And it was just, I'm just so happy to be able to have brought you all into kind of like my world of basketball discussion with my friends. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I look forward. Baller's one of my new favorites. I'm going to have Baller on quite a bit. I love Baller. And all you guys should go sign up for Baller's channel. Baller does Warriors, but Baller does a lot of Niners too. And I love Baller. I love his vibe, and that's the thing too. It's like when you love somebody's vibe, and then it's like, it becomes like a hang. Like, I love the live streams, because like we get into it and stuff, but then I love the post games, because it's like a hang. It's like if we were all at a sports bar, and in a sports bar, we don't go in an order. We cut each other off. In a sports bar, sometimes guys start arguing. In a sports bar, sometimes two guys wind up out in the street throwing blows. I mean, it's just the way it is. So I love the fact that that it was like an organic discussion about basketball, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I love every one of those guys, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again. Maybe when we get to the finals, we'll bring the crew back and talk a little bit after some of these finals games. How cool would that be? Daniel Shabazz says, Larry, how big is Frank? He looks like he could be about 6'8", 305 pounds. Well, he's not 300 pounds. I mean, he's lean. Frank's an Adonis, man. Hey, seriously, Frank. I would say Frank is about 6'7", 265, 270. Yeah, Frank's a beast, and he could rebound. Data says, I used to listen to Larry on Sports Phone 680, then JT the Brick on Sports Fan Radio Network as a kid. All right, let's go to Mariner Marcia. Do you guys remember Data? You remember Mariner Marcia calling up JT the Brick? The only thing that killed me about the Brick, and Brick and I are buddies. We share an agent, and I love Brick. But Brick and Rome were the only two sports talk show hosts whose callers imitated them. I mean, think about that. Think about that. You're listening to a show, and then every caller that calls up is speaking with an affected voice and a affected speech pattern that's all copying the host. That's pretty amazing if you really think about it. And yet that's what it was. I mean, that's the Brick. Yeah. JT, Pharrell, Rome. These are the, Pete Franklin. I mean, I'm lucky to know a lot of the, Dog. I'm lucky to personally know almost all of the top tier sports talk radio guys that began this genre. My first job in sports radio is I screen calls for Bud Ferrillo. Have you guys ever tell you guys this story? It's very first morning. I'm at KSAC in Sacramento. I'm doing an internship. I'm like a sophomore, junior at Sac State. I'm working on the Bud Ferrillo show on KSAC. And his first guest, it's my first day. And he's like, all right, kid, all you got to do is screen my calls. Bud Ferrillo had been like a legend in Los Angeles. In fact, I was just talking about the late Bud Ferrillo with Scott Osler at the Guardsman's dinner the other night. I'm like, yeah, Scott, I used to work with Bud Ferrillo. He's like, really? Bud Ferrillo? I'm like, yeah, it was my first job on radio. So very first job on radio. And he's like, okay, kid, that you're going to work the phones, and I'd have some guests, and all you got to do is latch them, and I'll show you how, and this and that. Somebody else books the show, and all you got to do is screen the calls and this and that. And I'm like, great. I was 20 or whatever. And it's the very first guest. It's Mike Francesa. So he's like, here's Mike's number. Call him up. He's expecting to come on. He's a regular every Monday during the NFL season. We have Mike on. It was a morning show. So it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock Eastern. So I call this number, and it's Francesa. And he goes, hello. And I'm like, oh, how you doing? Is this Mike Francesa? Yeah, this is Mike Francesa. I'm like, yeah, this is Larry Krueger. I'm calling from the Bud Ferrillo show in Sacramento and KSAG. Oh, fuck, is that now? Oh, fuck. He starts dropping all these F-bombs. I'm like, dropping a ton of F-bombs. And my eyes are like wide open. I'm like, I can't put this guy on the radio. He's dropping F-bombs. And I'm like, Mr. Francesa, we're coming up. We're coming up in a minute, sir. We're coming up. He's like, I don't care. I don't want to count. I'm not going to wait in this fucking line. Fucking this, fucking that. All these F-bombs. And it was such a lesson, because I'm like, I'm looking at the guy who's running the board sitting right there. I'm like, he's swearing up a storm. He's like, yeah, he tends to swear. I'm like, no, he's swearing. He's like, you don't understand. He's going to swear on the air. He's like, I don't think he will. So I'm like, he's like, just check with him at the commercial. He's like, tell him we got 30 seconds. So I get on the line, hit the thing. I'm like, Mr. Francesa, how you doing? Thanks again for holding. We're coming up. We're coming out of this commercial break. We'll be on in 30 seconds. I don't got fucking time to wait for this fucking shit. Fucking all these F-bombs. And then all of a sudden, here comes the intro music, the Bud Ferrillo show. And then Bud goes, and we have Mike Francesa on with us, as we do every Monday, to talk NFL. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, Mike, you're coming up right now. I don't got fucking time to fucking. All of a sudden, the guy latches him, and he goes, Mike, how are you? And he goes, Steema, hey, Steema. Not one swear word, nothing. Mike Francesa dropping F-bombs galore off mic. But as soon as he's on the radio, Steema, baby, love ya. Total education in exactly what it was like to be on the front lines of sports radio. It was amazing. And that was the beginning. And I kind of fell in love with it. Right then and there, I was like, oh, wow, man, this is fun. This is fun. And I love Bud Ferrillo. He's no longer with us, sadly. But anyway, loved him. Smitty says, damn, Larry, you got beef with 95.7? No, you kidding me? No, I feel in there. Love those guys. Are you kidding me? I love those guys. The great Matt Nahagian, Guru, and all those guys. Yeah, no, I like them a lot. And, it didn't work out for me to go there, but I've been filling in there. And, we'll see what the future holds. Smitty says, Larry said the vibe. LOL. Digital Drew in the house. Mortal Kombat. He says, pains me to miss these streams live. But work calls. I do love listening to them over lunch. There you go. Digital Drew in Chi-Town. Joe Schmo says Frank the Tank. Daniel Shabazz, a lean 305. I don't think Frank's $3 I think he's more like 275, 280. L Fox just drops a Warrior in there. Draymond is the man. Can't see the Warriors without him. I can't either. Haruku, Krug, have a show after the Myers decision with the guys and maybe before the draft. Oh, we'll definitely do a draft night show. Me and Carl did the draft show on KMBR when the Warriors drafted Mikal Petrus and when the Warriors drafted Andres Biedrich. I had Carl on the show. We did the show from the Warrior practice facility. They had a little balcony overlooking the floor in the former facility that they used to have. Now their facility is even better. And Carl and I would sit there and talk about all the players. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. We Suck Again says, bring Hensley on and smash the beef. We will. I hope we do. As I said, Ryan's a good dude. I got no problem with him. Joe Schmo says, I used to walk my dogs and listen to Larry when Damon plus whoever was on 1050 and loved JT. L Fox, this is my favorite part of Krug's show. A show about nothing. It's Seinfeld. We Suck Again says Bruce. Damon. I think his name's Damon Bruce, but you can call him Bruce Damon. Looked like a lobster this morning. Yeah, he went to minicamp. I said, Damon, you got any lotion, bro? He's like, no, you need lotion? I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be out here a few hours. You may want to have a little dab. You don't have to do it a lot, but just a couple dabs up here. I'm still a little sunburned, but he was very red this morning. We got this one, Portola 45. Why bring a guy who only has 3,000 followers be allowed on the show? Well, because it's not really about that. It's not like about how many followers you have. It's about, do I like you? If I like you, you're on. I don't care if you got no followers. I don't care if you got negative followers. It's not about that. We Suck Again. I have no clue what Larry's talking about right now. Thank you. Daniel Shabazz. This guy Mike sounds intense. Oh yeah. Oh, he was. Oh, you're talking about like maybe the most popular sports talk host in the country, Mike Francesa. Mike and the Mad Dog. Go watch the 30 for 30 on Mike and the Mad Dog. It's freaking great. L Fox says we need more Krug and FP. I just saw FP. He was at the Guardsman thing the other night after his show. FP's a good man. Getting another run with KMBR. Hopefully he'll get on the Giant broadcast. That'd be great. Yeah, this one, third string All-Pro. I hope we get to see Purdy throw at the next Niner OTA open to the media. Yeah, that would be good. That would be outstanding. Okay. We got this one from Manny Fresh. He says, it's no beef, just a disagreement. Disagreement where one guy blocks the other on Twitter. Of course, I didn't block him, but I've blocked people before, so it's not like I'm above blocking. But you know what happens is I'm the kind of guy who gets pissed and then I get over it. And then I can't stay mad. I really can't. I mean, there's certain people I can stay mad at, but for the most part, I can't stay mad. I remember when I was a little kid, when I get mad at my dad, I could never stay mad at him. I never could. He would always say something and I'm smiling and, I just don't have it in me to stay mad forever. Manny Fresh throws a super chat. If you were the GM, how would you handle the quarterback room? If I was a GM, how would I handle the quarterback room? I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I mean, I would go with Brock Purdy. You're winning games with Brock Purdy. And then I would have an open mind about Trey and Sam and where it goes. And then I would try to find a way to make sure that I got Trey as many reps as I possibly could give him in practice because he's the guy. The investment has been made in Trey. That's what we invested in. So you'd be stupid not to get him as many looks as possible and as many reps as possible. So that's what I would do. And as far as Sam goes, I get no problem that they brought in Sam. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think that Sam Darnold was bad for 5 years in the NFL, but it's all the Jets and it's all the Panthers. And now here in San Francisco, he's just going to be awesome. I don't think that's the way it goes. I don't, you want to absolve him of some blame because he played on the Jets and Panthers. Okay. But no. But I definitely would go with Purdy, but I definitely would give Lance lots of run in the preseason. And I would try to bring Trey along. At this point, I don't think, based on what I've seen, I don't think that there's a market for Trey that is interesting or that would even attempt, that would tease me enough to make me want to pull the trigger on a trade. Now, if the North Carolina kid who's playing quarterback for the Commanders, whatever his name is, I forget his name, but if he stinks and the Commanders come knocking and Brock's clearly the guy and Sam's played well and they're offering Montez Sweat and a pick, I might do that. I really believe the 49ers are one more edge rusher and good quarterback play away from winning the Super Bowl. So if I could get Montez Sweat, I would do it. But I still want to play Trey. I want to Trey. I don't know how many games it takes. Someone asked me the other day, how many games does it take before a quarterback develops? Well, they're all different. But I'll say this, more than 4. All right. Trey Lance has never started 3 straight games. So I'm playing my best guy, and I think my best guy's Brock, but I want to develop Trey, and I want to see Trey play. And the fact that Trey's this great guy just makes it easier to, go to sit there with him through the struggles. But you don't get to be a quarterback in the NFL because you're a great guy. But to me, if they give up on him right now, I think there's a chance that he goes somewhere, gets that playing time that he needs, gets the reps that he needs. And 3 years from now, you're looking at one of the NFL's better quarterbacks and you're looking stupid. So I would not be in a rush to move him unless I get something really, really good. If you want to offer me Montez Sweat and a day 2 pick in next year's draft, okay. But if I'm getting some 4th round pick, no, I'll just keep him and see if it works out. You got to remember, I am the guy who, before that draft, said, go get Trey Lance. Trey Lance is the guy. So I'm invested in Trey Lance. I thought Trey Lance was a better option than Mac Jones. I thought Trey Lance was a better option than Justin Fields. I thought Trey Lance was a really, really good option. So I'm not off of that just because it hasn't gone well. But I'm not going to hand him the job when Brock Purdy's played this well. I mean, what you saw this year from Brock Purdy was special. That was really special. So I can both respect the hell out of that and still want to find out what I have in Trey Lance before I trade him. I'm definitely not cutting him or handing him to anybody else because that could backfire in a big bad way and make everybody look really, really bad. I think it's going to take some time, but I still think it's coming. People see things as they are, not as they potentially can be. And I think when you really, think about what potentially Trey can emerge into, if I'm moving him, I'm getting a lot. And right now, it doesn't sound like they're getting a lot as far as offers. We got this one from MF about Kyle Harrison. He says Kyle Harrison will likely get into the 5 innings pitch, 75 pitch range as soon as next start. Farhan Zaidi just said on KMBR, Giants have been cautious with his workload early. What do you mean? Did they call him up? Did I miss something? Did they call up Kyle Harrison? No, he's not up, right? He's in the minors. He's in the minors, right, MF? Give me one more on that one. Give me more on that. I think he's still in the minors, right? Kyle Harrison, lefty who throws hard. I'll say this though: the Giants with Bailey and Schmidt. I was in Salt River with my sons in March for Giants Rockies, sitting out there on the berm. And Matos put a charge into one, man. I mean, it was a bolt. He hit it out to left. It got out in a nanosecond. Matos has got a howitzer in the outfield. So you call him up. Maybe you call Harrison up. Giants, we just got to be patient. Sucks because it sucks being patient. But I think the Giants, give the Giants a little time. It's been a weird run, but I think they're going to get there. I think they're going to get there. It's not going to be this year, but they're going to get there. Brother Bob, what were they offered for Trey Lance? Maybe the Niners want 2 firsts. I don't know. I don't know what they were offered, but I ain't moving him for a 5th-round pick. Crossing my fingers he doesn't emerge somewhere else and become awesome. No way. Car Gods, per NFL, 28% max throws of long ball, low is 10%, average is 21%. So Brock Purdy is fine in this department. Plus, Brock distributes the ball to the playmakers in this West Coast offense better than Trey. Just, it's amazing. You can be pro Trey and still have great respect for what Brock Purdy was able to do. What Brock Purdy was able to do last year was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And if Brock Purdy was some flop or some aberration, people talking about he's insanity, it's just asinine. Just so many levels of stupid, I can't even address it. But if he were that bad, do you think Brandon Ayuk would be like, I love Brock Purdy? No. He'd be like, get him out of here. You think George Kittle would be like, I love Brock Purdy? No. He'd be like, I don't want him. Get him out of here. The players are really tough judges. They don't just like anybody. Oh, you know what? The guy, everybody said he was good. No. If the guy can't play, the players know who can play. The players know who can play and who can't play. And they know Brock can play. Now, they love Trey too. And that's this whole like, well, who do the locker room like? The locker room believes that they can win with Brock Purdy. But as far as likability, they love Brock Purdy, but they love Trey Lance too. They absolutely do. I thought what happened last year was amazing. If you really think about it, they went through an entire season. They went from Trey Lance to Jimmy Garoppolo to Brock Purdy, and not one player went off on his own and fractured. Not one time did you have a divided locker room where these guys over here going, no, it's Jimmy, and no, it's Trey, no, it's Brock. The room did not splinter ever. And that is a testament to Shanahan, to Lynch, the culture they've built, the players themselves, and the professionalism of Jimmy and Brock and Trey. That easily could have splintered and didn't. Says a lot about these guys. All of them. It's truly an incredible moment, really, that not one receiver, not one lineman, not one defender, not one rando, not one special teamer, not anybody was like, oh, you know what? I'm for this guy over that guy. Nope. Room didn't splinter. So credit Shanahan, man. You can say what you want about Shanahan. And this whole, is Shanahan a leader? If Shanahan was not a leader, that room splinters. It didn't splinter. Jose Pepe says, great show, Larry, as always. The best content creator, very objective, and I don't miss any of your shows, and I live in Orlando. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Car God says, Trey Lance is huge upside. Unfortunately, the NFL is what have you done for me lately, kind of a league, and to wait for Trey to develop is not in NFL teams' interest. That's kind of true. It's kind of true. But I will say this. Love that kid. I love Trey Lance. I think he's a tremendous person. And I hope things work out here in San Francisco somehow, some way. The one thing I can absolutely guarantee you, Trey Lance will not turn on Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy will not turn on Trey Lance. Those guys are as solid as it gets. And that's the plain, honest truth. Car Gods, last one here, and then we're going to bolt. Larry, I was all in on Trey Lance on draft night, but after knowing what was given up for him and what those players are doing, is alarming to hear that Trey Lance mechanics are still an issue. There you go. We'll get two last ones here. Data says, Larry, are you ever going to reveal the beat writer who you bet about Purdy making the roster? I know it wasn't the great Matt Barrows. It's not important. It's not. It doesn't reveal anything. It really doesn't. And it wasn't like I know more than that guy or that guy knows more than me or nothing like that. I won't put it out there just because I don't want to embarrass anybody. And if he wants to put it out there, he can put it out there, but I won't put it out there. But you know what? I got great respect for this beat writer. I really do. Really, really good. Love him. Think he's one of the best there is in any sport. So I'll just say that. And Artur Gazarian, interesting that the players and coaches believe they had the best team with a dink and dunk Purdy. Wow. MF. Look at MF. On that note, let's get out of here. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to all of you guys. Have a great night, everybody. Check me out tomorrow. Huge day tomorrow on the channel. It's going to be a great day. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to every one of these days, but great day tomorrow. 1 o'clock, catch me with Matt Babcock talking NBA draft. At 4 o'clock, Vish Kumaran's in the house. At 6 o'clock, Jesse Naylor's in the house. Friday, Mayoko, Jack Hammer. A lot of great stuff coming up. Hope you enjoyed the show. Until tomorrow, peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, get in.